Okay, welcome to another edition of the Float Plan Podcast. Tim,
Matt,
and Shane.
So Shane was gracious enough to join us today here at Elliott Bay Marina. If any of you guys recognize this, we're down here on the fuel dock. Great little spot, cool place to come, grab a kayak, ice cream cone, whatever you need out of there. But today we're talking about a much more important topic than any of that fun stuff, right? Today we're talking about boat maintenance and, more importantly, diving and changing zincs and all the other things that come along with that. So Shane, if you want to introduce yourself real quick, tell us a little bit about who you are, your business, and then we'll get into...
Sure. I'm Shane McCall, Emerald City Diving, and we've been in business for 44 years. I've been diving for 26 years, and we work on yachts, pleasure boats. We do a lot of commercial stuff with the fishing boats and the Coast Guard, and anything in water. If you drop anything, we'll get it. We want props pulled, we'll do it, and then regular maintenance keeps the doors open every 4 to 6 months kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was great. We met Shane. He used to keep his dive boat right here where this aluminum fishing boat is. And so walking up and down the docks, it was just kind of a natural progression to say, hey, we've got some questions. We're looking for somebody to help us get this done. And we were able to get together and get something working. And yeah, it's been great ever since.
Shane's even helped us pull the props off of our boat on and off for another vendor, but well-known diver, in fact, kind of the go-to firm here in Seattle. If you call around, you'll hear the name Emerald City Diving come up over and over and over. They know what they're doing, to say the least. It's a little bit of an understatement.
Yeah, and well, it's sad that you're not a neighbor anymore. You're in Shilshole now.
I am in Shilshole. A lot more convenient for us, but we don't have the premier spot right here.
Uh-huh.
But we gave it up willingly. We wanted to give it up, but I was here for 20 years before we left, so that's not a bad deal,
Yeah.
But you'll still see their boat here quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but why don't you kind of go through what does a day look like for you these days?
Nothing's ever set in stone. Our day's constantly changing. But we like to start early, get out early. But we're usually in the water by 8 o'clock. And it just depends on, we got days where we're doing regular maintenance stuff. And then other days where we're working for the dry dock or doing some boats where we're blocking off the sea chest, things like that. But it's just really the maintenance stuff and kind of a on-call business. That's why we try to get in early, get out early, because a lot of emergencies and just driving around Seattle takes up a lot of time, and especially being in dry suits.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to get suited up?
Listen, I leave my house in the dry suit, and yesterday was the first time I actually had to change in the truck because I roll out in my dry suit. Sometimes I come back in my dry suit so I can tell my girl I did all the work and the guys did nothing. But yeah, it doesn't take long at all, man. Just gotta layer up.
How big's the team now?
I have just a total of 3 of us, and I have 2 of the youngest guys working for me. I have one guy that just turned 20. I have another guy that just turned 24. And I'm gonna tell you right now, those guys are I've never had a better team, better guys working for me because they're retaining stuff, good work ethic, show up on time. I gotta have guys that I can trust because there's nobody to check our work. So once they're underwater, that's their word, So what we've been doing lately is we do every boat when we're done working on it, install nanos, doing whatever. We do an inspection with a video inspection. And I'll tell you what, I send off 7 invoices, and with the video inspections, I get 6 emails back going, I love the video, because a lot of people never see the bottom of the boat.
Uh-huh.
They don't know what's going on down there. And it helps the people gain confidence in us because, a lot of people don't know who we are, and then they word of mouth. The good thing is we have, like you said, if you ask anybody, usually they say us. And I don't advertise at all because I figured word of mouth will carry it a lot further than anything,
Sure.
There's no better compliment than a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So what size boats do you typically see that you're working on here in the Northwest?
A majority of them are anywhere from 30 feet to 60 feet. And then, of course, in the summer we get a lot of the transients with 200 footers and We just got done working on Bridle, boat, the 193 foot. But like I said, you know, it's the 60-foot boats down that being in the salt water, there's no stopping on maintenance. Maintenance is constantly going. And, you know, we're not big. We don't like to clean a lot of the hulls. You know, we do it for the race boats. But for the most part, like power boats, things like that, part of the service is we'll clean the water line because that's where you're getting all the growth, really. But it varies, you know, for boat size. But like I said, it's 30 to 60 feet.
Have you seen products like Propspeed and that type of product help people with the growth on their running gear and their props and actually making a difference? We all assume because we just haven't applied, but we don't get to see the actual use of the product in the water.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, when it first came out, it wasn't being applied very good, and it wasn't working very good. And I think it was being sold mostly as, you put this on, there's going to be no growth in there. You know, and that wasn't necessarily true when I first started. Now, I'm not sure how long Propspeed's been around, but Propspeed is the best one. Of course, you're going to pay for it. It costs a lot of money, but as opposed to the other brands like Barnacle Band, that stuff's garbage. It promotes growth. But the Propspeed now that I see put on, it actually will fling the growth off the propellers. But before it didn't do it. All it did was make it easy for us to take it off. But we did a test on a Celine, and the guy tries to leave every year, and every time he tried to leave, he had so much growth, he'd have us come back, we'd clean it, and then he'd leave. And so now we got ahead of the game, and you know, he would call us ahead of time. But what we did is we did an experiment where he wouldn't use the boat before we cleaned it, and then brought it back, and we looked at it, and typically there would be tons of growth, nothing. So it is working a lot better than what it used to be. It's just a pricey thing, and the only thing I don't like about it is you can't see the true colors of the metals. So you don't know if there's electrolysis until you remove propellers, you know, or until something goes wrong, really.
So all this talk, when everybody says the word sinks, I think they're just meaning anode, right?
They're meaning
Elaborate
anodes.
a little bit on.
Yeah, well, see, I haven't used zinc because that was all anyone knew in the saltwater. But I still have people refer to them as zinc, but anode is what you're actually using. Zinc and aluminum and magnesium are the materials are made of, depending on if you're just in fresh water. You know, aluminum works good for Northwest people because we go back and forth from fresh to salt, salt to fresh. And zinc in the fresh water, it gets a coating on it, where after 2 months it has that coating. When you go in the salt water, it's like you have no anodes on it at all. It isolates them. That's why aluminum's a really good product for that. You know?
And for the people that are just getting into boating, if we had to talk with them and really have a conversation about why anodes, why is this so important? You know, what are they actually doing? Somebody's newer to boating. Explain it to us.
They are, so an anode will basically, let me just back up. Corrosion will attack the softest metals first. And so that's why you want to have anodes on your boat. And, you know, anodes are a lot cheaper than propellers. Anodes are a lot cheaper than having any electrical damage on the through hulls or on the trim tabs or basically anything that's involved in the bonding system inside the boat. Yeah. And so it's one of those things that it's, you know, 4 to 6 months, depending on where you're at in the marina, who your neighbors are, if they're taking care of their boats.
Yeah.
Do you see a fair bit of electrolysis even in freshwater?
I do when people use zinc, because they'll use zinc and like on a boat like this, it's got an outboard on it. That's all aluminum. And so when they put zinc on that, they're trying to protect a softer metal with a harder metal. And so back in the day when we used to use only zinc, you would see sail drives and Volvo propellers and outboards totally be corroded, and the anodes are 100%. It's because you're trying to protect this harder metal, or the softer metal with the harder metal. I don't see that so much anymore. The thing that I see a lot is what we call haloing. And it's basically it's a reaction with the underwater metals and the copper in the bottom pane. and how the boat's bonded. And so what it does, it creates like this, what we call haloing, because it looks like almost, we took a torch to metal and it kind of rainbows out like that. And it starts off with just discoloring, and then over time that starts flaking off, and then in the summer months, the hard growth attacks that because there's no more copper in the bottom paint. The boatyards, they've come up with their solution for it, but I can tell you every 4 boats we dive, 3 of it has haloing going on. It's so common now, it's ridiculous.
Interesting.
Always learn something new. You might be in it for 20, 25 years, you still learn. You always learn.
You gotta learn something new every day, or you grow old, man. I try to as well.
And that's always the debate, right, that people are talking about is how often do you need to be diving? How often do you need to have the anodes replaced? When do they last? So maybe give us an idea, saltwater versus freshwater. Like somebody's in South Lake Union next to Matt's office versus being, here in Elliott Bay.
I'll tell you what, people that keep their boats on the freshwater, they're saving tons of money in maintenance. So like anodes, bottom paint, things like that, but they gotta go through the lock. So like a boat on the freshwater, I tell people at least check it once a month, or once every 6 months, or once a year. Yeah. Because I've had tons of boats where we looked at it, they expected everything to be good. They have damaged props, or anode came loose, or whatever. So it's a good peace of mind to check it out at least once a year. Okay. For the people on the saltwater, I would say when you're new to a marina, get the boat checked, and then check it, 3 to 4 months after that, just to see what the anode use is. And I also recommend people when you're new to a marina, have the maintenance guys come down, check everybody around, make sure there's no straight current, things like that. And I can't say how many times I'm about to get in the water and someone goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" Changing anodes. What's the hell's an anode? We've had this boat for a year and a half. We don't know what it is. So I'm like, well, brokers aren't gonna tell you that part. That's the important part, but it's like, they don't tell you. You got to get fuel for it. You got to pay for more. You got to pay for, someone to come clean it. So there's a lot of upkeep with boats, and I've seen it when Amazon moved in down here. All these Amazon people were buying boats, and then the next year, all the Amazon people were selling their boats because they didn't realize how much you had to actually put into it. It wasn't just, put it on the water, come down, 6 months later, get on it, and it's good to go. It's one of those things. The more used the boat is, the better. More exercise.
Well, that's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast is the education process. We want, as Tim and I have discussed multiple times, there's still all these pitfalls that we all run into. We all learn new things. And that's the point of all this is that if we can help somebody not have to go through what we may have gone through, and again, in dealing with boats and the way we do, there's still new stuff in there. I had never seen that before. I can't tell you how many times in my office that's a first, okay? Some of us have been doing this 25, 35 years. That's a first, but that's where bringing in the people that we know who do great work and that we trust. I mean, that's the big thing is that people that we trust is who we're going to bring onto this podcast so that people have an opportunity to meet the people who actually will work for them and do the job for them properly in the first time.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I've met some great people in this industry, and I've learned a lot from people just asking them questions. In fact, when I first started, I knew nothing. I was a commercial diver working in power plants and nuclear power plants, and I didn't know that they had divers working on boats. Now, keep in mind, I went to DIT, which is right over here. They tell you that there's no work in Seattle. And I left, went to the East Coast, worked in Cleveland for a while, and I had left Cleveland. I came back here because I left there for a reason. It sucks. It wasn't the place that I'd ever lived. When I came back here, I ran into this guy, and he was a yacht manager with a little dive business, and he's looking for a diver. Holy shit, man. I just ran with this because I was like, this is the best job ever. He had a little boat like I did, this small little Rendova, and the day that I realized that this is something that I'm going to concentrate on, because he just kind of he just let the business kind of do whatever it wants. But I'm driving the Rendova, an eagle flies over me. There's seals on the dock. I go, holy shit, this is amazing. I'm in a place diving on boats, and this is where people are going for vacation. And I've done a lot of different jobs, and I'll tell you what, I've never had people express their appreciation for what we do, or helping somebody out if they're stuck on vacation. they got the rope, or they drop something. Yeah, excellent.
Speaking of stuff you've seen, give us a story or two about some of the craziest things you've seen. You want to hear from the guys who actually do it.
I've had to, believe it or not, I've had to recover dentures twice.
Okay. Dentures twice.
Twice.
Okay. Say it again,
That's the first time the first time I thought it was ever going to be. And then another guy was buying a boat, and he was so happy to see the boat that they actually fell out of his mouth. Found a shotgun in the water. Found a bottle of wine down here. Dead seal. It's all kind of weird shit.
So what about with wildlife? What's the craziest wildlife story you have?
Well, I've had a baby seal chase me around and keep grabbing my fin. That wasn't the one that pulled me in the water, but it was to the point that I had to get my other diver and say, "Hey man, look at this seal. It keeps following me and it keeps biting my fin. It's kind of freaking me out." Yeah. And as we're talking about this, we're on the surface. This seal comes darting over and starts biting my fin again. And, you know, the thing's only this big, but I don't mess with wildlife, man. To me, they're water pit bulls. And as small as it was, it still scares the shit out of me. You know? I don't mess with nature, man. I'm in that thing, so I don't mess around too much with stuff, you know.
During salmon season, do you see salmon run through here all the time?
Absolutely not.
No?
Nothing goes near us. I've had a dogfish come up to me once, and that's about it. And I saw a whale go through here, the marina, but I wasn't even in the water. So.
Oh, like what kind of whale like that?
I don't know. It breached right here at the end of the fuel dock. And,
oh, wow.
No way.
Eric Elliott, his family owned the fuel dock at the time. He's a hippie. He's totally into the nature. He was pissed because he was in his office. No one came and got him to show him the whale would go by, you know. It was pretty cool. But yeah, nothing really comes near us while we're in the water.
What do you see people getting wrapped around? Obviously, you get lines, crab pots. What are you generally kind of seeing? What's the most difficult thing to untangle or undo?
Those oil booms, and I've had oil booms because they got the chain in them, the crab line, you know. But nothing's too bad. It's just the problem comes is if you keep running the boat, and that's when it's melting stuff. Or I've had a guy come over and goes, "I think I got a line wrap." We go in the water. He's got a 55-gallon barrel hanging by chain from his propeller that he picked up, and he didn't even know he had it, which was amazing. We're like, how the hell do you not know that you're dragging a 55-gallon barrel around? But that's probably the weirdest. People, you know, broke props or whatnot. But the rope, you know, stuff in the propellers, it's anything that's it, garbage bags, everything.
Now, if someone dings the propeller, what's the process that you have to go through to get the propeller? Are you limited on the size of propeller you can get? How does all that work?
I could pull propellers anywhere up to like about 49-inch or 50-inch diameter.
So, like behind us, we've got a 50-foot navigator, and then we've got a 58-foot ocean. You can
all day long, easy. The big propellers, it's the small propellers that give you problems because you can't really get up on it and put a lot of strength in it without, you know, possibly bending the shaft or doing any kind of damage. So I like doing big propellers. The only problem is once you get past the 40-inch mark, you have to use a crane, and that's just, you know, logistics.
Oh, so like the davit on top, use the crane to get it out of the water and from the boat. So what do you have to say to the guys again? You can never get a prop on as tight in the water as you can out of the water.
Listen, I've never had... they're full of shit, and I'll tell you what. You know who they call when they need a propeller in the yard and they can't get it off? They call us because they go, these guys can do it underwater, they can do it on the land.
Yeah.
And I've never failed, man.
Have you ever had to heat one up to get it off? Or what?
Absolutely, oh yeah. In fact, we just did one the other day that they couldn't get the prop off. So we went over there, got our prop puller on it. My guys go get the torch. And within 30 seconds, things just popped right off. Unfortunately, when we're in the water, we get stuck with something like that. I can't get the heat down there.
So for those of us that love to go chase fish out of the spring, okay, we're always dodging all the crab pots.
Mm-hmm.
Right from as soon as you get out of the breakwater all the way around the green can. And it's just a constant weaving in and out of these things. So walk us through what happens to the boat. If you're not paying attention, you know, you decide to go out and catch that first morning bite, and you happen to wrap something up. What's sort of the sequence of that? How much time do you have to get things shut down? What does it feel like?
I'll tell you what, if you get a rope, stuck around your prop, you might want to shut it down right away, or at least get back to the dock and run at slow speeds, because the longer you run it, the more damage you can cause. We've seen the rope melt down to a hard plastic and then work its way into the cutlass bearing and start ripping the cutlass bearing, you know, up. And then now you got to haul the boat out. You know, it's one of those things. You can get the rope out, no big deal, but you know, eventually you're gonna have to take care of that cutlass bearing. But I'll tell you, living in the Northwest, a lot of logs, a lot of shit in the water. I think it definitely keeps us off the streets. You know?
It was funny. We were in Fort Lauderdale with Matt, walking around, you know, the big expo center thing they've got set up in there, and all the gadgets. It's just the coolest stuff in the world to look at. But they had a big old prop. I don't know. I mean, it was humongous, but they had the little cutting deal, right, where it attached
this, like spur line cutter,
oh
or
yeah,
like a shaft shark.
And the guy was sitting there. He couldn't cut enough polyrope off that thing. I mean, he was showing everybody, and it was just like a hot knife through butter. Right? So you see something like that, and immediately you think, okay, I need 2 of those in the back immediately. But then whenever we talk to somebody like you, you're never telling us what one of those cutters is.
Well,
What are your thoughts on
the spur line cutters are they're good,
it? Okay.
but I haven't seen any of them really work without a piece breaking on them. Which it's okay, because they have all those pieces readily available. Usually the weak link is that staby cutter thing, you know. I always tell people that if you're gonna get a line cutter, just go with it like a shaft shark. Right? Because when you get the spur line cutters, I hear a lot of things of weird harmonics or clicking noise. I had one guy he had me take all the spur line cutter stuff off, and he gave it to me, and those things are, you know, I think the ones that he gave me, the size, they're $400 a piece, you know.
Yeah.
But the shaft sharks are nice because they're just a 2-piece stainless saw blade. Because even with the line cutter, I've never seen the line get cut all the way out. It helps you get back to the dock without doing too much damage. But maybe I'm not seeing the lines get cut out because they're actually working and they don't have any line left, so I don't know.
Yeah. So getting that done, is that a haul out, or can you do that in the water? If somebody said, I want to put one of those shaft sharks.
The shaft shark in the water, no big deal.
Okay.
The spur line cutters are a little bit more because you gotta drill into the strut and you gotta have the measurements. It's gotta be pretty precise.
Okay.
I don't want to do that stuff underwater. We don't mind cutting or drilling underwater, but something like that is too precise and too much where you gotta have the cutter at a certain distance from where the V block is and this, that, and the other thing. So those, I know a limitation, and I'll tell people not all out, but I'm not going to mess it up.
Yeah. And what's the longest piece of electronics you've ever seen go in the water that somebody had to have back out, that you've been able to retrieve and have it still work? You know that off the top of your head?
Would we count an outboard motor?
You know, I probably would. I was thinking more laptop, iPad, iPhone type thing, but yeah, I mean, an outboard motor.
I would say the outboard motor then, because
Yeah.
it was in there for a week, and the good thing is it wasn't running.
All right.
But all the electronics were in there. They got all wet. I think what he did is he took it out and rinsed it off, sprayed it with salt away,
Okay.
and then hit it with some of that degreaser, that electronic cleaner.
Yeah.
And he said electronics work, man. That thing fired right up. Like, all right. Cell
I
phones,
never
not
would've
so
thought
much.
that.
Never in a million years.
I picked up a guy's cell phone in Lake Union, and as I'm bringing it up, it's ringing, which was pretty amazing because I'm underwater and the thing's ringing.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I brought up the guy instantly, I'm like, holy shit, I just got one.
Okay.
Now, do you ever not need your dry suit in Lake Union? In summertime, if you go in there, or do you just always wear it just because that's what you do?
No, man, I'm skinny, man. I gotta have my dry suit on. I'm not getting in this water regardless, because when I first learned how to dive, we did it in wetsuit. And when I went to commercial dive school, we had to do it in wetsuit. And after an hour in the water, I'm just wasted, tired, I'm cold as hell. And dry suit's way better. You know, being that I know how to work on dry suits to replace all the seals, and I teach my guys that. We laugh at all the other guys putting wetsuits on these other companies, and it's because they don't know how to work on dry suits, so it makes us giggle.
Yeah.
You know?
If somebody wanted to get into this career, what would be your advice to them? What's the path?
Well, I'm kind of old school that I would say do it like as an apprenticeship thing, because I find that dive schools aren't really, even though they have 100% job placement, they're getting stuff on the backside where they're sending bodies, and then the companies are setting used equipment. And so to me, like, the IT wasn't helpful getting a job here. You had to go offshore. That's the only way to get it. I went out and I found my own job, did that. DIT knows I'm doing this and I'm in town, and, you know, I would be a good example to the other students. Like, hey man, this is something. They've never even reached out or even talked to me or show anything that I went there. So I don't even go that route. I would say talk to somebody, or just get into scuba and just making sure you like working in the water, because I've had guys go through the course in dive school and they don't even like being in the water. As soon as I hit it, I'm making sure the guy gets in the water every time we're on a job, because you're a diver. That's your job. You don't want to be in the water, get a diver.
That makes sense. And so for a new person coming in, let's say somebody's coming into their first boat, they're in, 30 foot, 40 foot, and they're going to keep a dock here at Elliott Bay or at Shoal. What should they expect? How do they get in touch with somebody like you? Right? Just what's sort of the process? What can somebody expect?
I would say one, talk to your neighbors about people that they use. I see a lot of these. That's my old business partners say. In the summer, there's a lot of kids with masks, and so there's people down there. They're going to clean, run a year, but they don't know, or clean propellers, but they don't know what they're looking for. So I would say talk to your neighbors, and that goes for anything. Washing, mechanics, anything like that. You can probably look this up online, but like I said, I don't really put us out there. That I guess if you look up dive company, we're definitely not the first ones that come up. To me, if you're looking online for somebody to work on your boat, whether it's a $100 boat or a $100 million boat, and you're looking online, you're probably not a good person to work for, because you really should reach out to somebody. I mean, if it's something you want to take care of, you need get a reference. And it's just going online. There's everybody online. And anybody can start a dive company. You got students at DIT that don't know anything yet, and they do this little dive company. I have guys that have worked for me, and they look at me and they go, "Oh, look at this guy, man! If he can do it, I can do it." Well, the thing is,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I put my time in, man. I made connections, and I built up a reputation, and I really don't. I don't know how these other guys get business.
Yeah.
Because I do this work for a reason. I like hearing about all the miseries of the other dive companies, but I don't want to talk to them. And I don't socialize with anybody. In fact, my business partner, before I talked to him about merging our companies together, I'd never even spoke to him.
Wow, that's a big leap.
Yeah, I knew he was down on his luck, and my business was growing at the time. That was just me, and I needed more people. And so the first time I talked to him, I said, "Hey, I heard you got some problems." And me and him talked more. And the next day, him and I were flying up to Canada to remove a big prop and install another prop. And at that point, talked about merging companies together. But it's one of those things. It's just put your time in, know the business. I've had people approach me to buy my business, and they only worked for me for 2 months. I said, everything's for sale. I'll sell you the business, but I got to learn it, man, because I don't want to see you fail.
Yeah.
If you're failing, that means I ain't get my money.
Yeah.
And I don't see you diving. Now that we've been around, I mean, it's a great name, and it's a great business that I wouldn't do anything different, man.
Yeah.
Nothing different.
So for a lot of times on these shows, we talk to people and say, "How do you get a hold of Shane? How do you start the process if you want to start a conversation?" So would you like to share a phone number? Or would you like to call Matt or myself?
Yeah. Give me a call. Emerald City Diving. Our number is 206-789-8000. I'm more of a phone. Phone me, text me, emails. A little bit longer response, because I'm in the water all day, man. If I dive down, it's you to get into the office every day. Keep looking at the resources, looking at the bookkeeper, looking at the diver, everything. So I got to wear all the hats. I should have somebody that does it, but I like to keep an eye on it.
Sure.
It's the only thing I got in my life.
And I can speak from experience. He's not that hard to get a hold of. He makes it sound like it's going to take a while to hear from him. That's not the case. You've always been great. Like, everything's always been on time and done the way it's supposed to be done. So.
I've been trained well. As my business partner said, every phone call you don't answer, that's another $1 in the company's pocket. If we could take $1 out of their pocket and make 50 cents and do it, I've been drilled that I have to call people back. I can't help it. So
It's still hard to do when you're underwater.
I'll tell you what, we wouldn't be having this conversation once I figure out how to answer that phone underwater, because I'll be making millions, So. But don't worry, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
any advice you'd give to a boater that maybe has had another dive company, middle of the road type experience? What should they be looking for? What should they be trying to figure out on the boat? Like, what do you think people should be thinking about?
Well, I see a lot of these dive companies, the first thing they should be doing is inspecting the integrity of everything down below, whether the propellers have damage, everything spins good, there's no corrosion going on. And the thing is, a lot of these dive companies, I guess their leader doesn't really get into the water, so they're not really being caught proper. And so that's the one thing with me is I'd like to make sure my guys understand what's going on, just in the little things. But the problem is I'm not very good communicator, so sometimes I have to say it twice, and then if we have miscommunication, then I realize, okay, it's me not explaining it right. And that's why these videos are amazing, because I get to see what my guys are doing, and when they misidentify something or don't see a problem, I'm seeing it in these videos, and I call it out right then and show them, well, hey man, this is what we need to look,
And we can fix it. Right,
Mhm.
right as you're there.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's another thing is, like, just fixing things on the spot. Or I tell my guys, act like it's your boat.
Yeah.
And if you had a diver, you paid for a diver, and he got in the water and he didn't clean this trim tab or make sure the knob meter spins good, you'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Do what you would do. Do what you would want a diver to do if he was in the water. Once my guys get that in their head, they're like, okay. And the guys I'm telling you, the guys that I have now, they both really love their job, and they got pride in their work, and they're retaining things, and they see that this is it's a fun job to have. It's not always fun, because it's not summertime all the time.
I've seen a couple of guys that have been shown me very, very proudly their little mask and scuba, whatever you call those breathing tubes, and talking about it.
Hookah or whatever.
Yeah, and it's just always shaking my head, like you're really gonna get up there, blow your own propeller off. Well,
Yeah.
kind of thing, so.
Well, I'll tell you, the most important thing is protecting your ears. When I first started, it was just me, and so I was in the water, and still I'm in the water every day, that I actually had mold growing in my ear canal, and so they had to puncture a hole in my eardrum, and so anytime I got in the water, it would burst out and I'd bleed out of my ear. And I already had bad hearing, so I thought my career was over. Tried earplugs, tried this, tried that, and then someone goes, hey, why don't you try one of these latex hoods? You put it right in the dry suit. Well, shit, we could do that. So I put one on, I have it turned back. Man, I have my guys work for me. They get in the water maybe one day with no hood. I said, all right, when we get back to the house, man, we're going to put a hood on that, because I don't want you to be like I am. I got terrible hearing. I can't hear shit. When I'm in the water, it's peaceful. When I'm out of the water, all I hear is, and that's it.
Yeah.
You just got to take care of your body, man.
Well, I think we covered quite a bit of ground today.
Yeah, my mouth is dry, man. I can't really talk anymore.
We can keep going and going. No, we just appreciate you spending so much time with us today, and we do hope people will search you out. And if you don't, get a hold of Tim or get a hold of me, and we'll glad to connect you and get you set up.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Hey, Shane, appreciate it.
Thank you guys,
All
man. Awesome.
As you can see, we're in an active dock, and the Elliott Bay is always a busy place to be.